Welcome to the BFF Report. I'm your host, Mike B, aka Phony, and today we're going to take a look at a game called Legend of Grimrock. This game is about $15, maybe 10% off, depending if you pick it up right now. And it's available on Steam as well as several other platforms. Now, this game is not... It's a dungeon crawler, but a lot of you guys are like, you mean like Diablo? No. This is actually what a dungeon crawler used to be, like exclusively. This was a dungeon crawler. You don't have free roam, you don't have a camera, you can move all over the place. You don't even see what your characters look like. You are just literally moving one tile at a time. You have a 2x2 tile, and you're moving one tile at a time to progress forwards or backwards throughout the game. Now, I know this sounds really weird and sounds boring, or why would I want to move like I'm playing checkers or chess? Well, it is visually, may not appeal to a lot of you guys. It may not. But for those of us who have played some of these games in the past, this is definitely a throwback to some of those. And for those of you guys who are looking for something a little bit different for cheap, this might be the game for you. All right, character creation. It does exist in this game. You wouldn't quite expect it since you never actually see your characters, but you do get to see your little avatars all the time, so maybe you want to choose something that kind of suits, you know, your own personality or something. I have no idea. Now, you don't get to actually go through and customize anything about the visual characteristics of your physical character itself, okay? You pick your race, then you pick your class, then you assign some traits, then you assign all of your individual stats, which, by the way, vary from race to race. So some of the bigger characters, like for example, the Minotaur might have some more base strength than, say, the Insectoid, which would kind of make sense, I suppose. For there, you go ahead and pick a name. I went ahead and just randomly generated a few for all of my characters, and then you get into the game itself. So now you're in the dungeon and you have to get out. That's the whole point of this game. You're in the dungeon, get the F out, and that's it. Now, the first thing you guys are probably gonna notice is that my movement is kind of jerky. It's like every time I push up or Q or E or W, ASD, whatever, I only move one square at a time. And that's the way this game is. It's like playing on a checkerboard or something, and you have your little checker and you're just kind of moving it one square at a time. That's the way the game plays. And even the mobs move one tile at a time. And a lot of you guys are probably not used to this. Maybe you've never played a game like this and it's like, wow, this doesn't look like anything I want to play. The movement is jerky and the commands are silly. I have to click on all my abilities? What's going on? That's because this game is just simply not for everybody. I'll be totally honest. I got in there, I played it, I loved it. But that's because I grew up playing this stupid game, this stupid shareware game on my Mac from like, I think I started playing it in 1989, 1990. I played it for all the way up and through 1995. It was a shareware game called Scarab of Ra. You can look it up. And this game is it is the shittiest looking game you've ever seen in your life. I mean, as far as dungeon crawlers are concerned, the only way you can actually get worse in this game is if you were to use hand-drawn flashcards. And that was just one example of a game that I played that basically rubbed me the wrong way because, let me tell you, whenever you have a mob that is moving one tile at a time towards you, it doesn't seem like, on paper, you're just like, okay, that's not a big deal. It freaks you the F out. I'm telling you, it will freak you out when you're in a dungeon and it's dark and there's no sound, no music, nothing to kind of keep you going, and all you hear is just things on the other side of the stupid wall, and like chains and stuff and bones and crap. And then you see a monster out in the distance in the darkness, and then he starts moving towards you one stupid step at a time. That stuff freaks you out, man, let me tell you. And anybody who's played these games, anybody who's played Might and Magic, Dungeon Master, Eye of the Beholder, they will tell you this is true. These types of games are designed to make you shit your pants in stages. Whew, boy, okay, anyways, now to close the pit, something needs to fly. So what am I gonna do? Well, I already know I can throw things, so why don't I throw something over there and see what happens? Look at that. Now, outside of fighting back feelings of claustrophobia or fighting various mobs or just kind of sitting in the corner rocking back and forth sucking your thumb, this game has lots of puzzles. Now, I'm not going to show you all of them. We'll see a couple of them here and there, but I don't want to give any of them away because that's part of the fun of actually playing the game is solving these things. Now, I was actually, story time, I was actually playing this game the other night. It's live on my stream. And I came across this room where you step on a pressure plate, it opens up the gate, you go into the room. And then you start off this sequence of events where every step you take is a pressure plate and it triggers various teleporters all over the place. And you can actually get to the point where you lock yourself into a corner and then you have to step into one and it puts you outside of the room where you start all over again. Now, the game is brand new. Pretty much nobody at this point had gotten this far. And so nobody in chat room could really help me. So the people who were trying to help me, all they said was, yeah, I got through this room. I can't remember how I did it. It's like, thanks. Now, it turns out it actually follows a sequence very similar to a game that lots of people have played in the past. Apparently, it wasn't one that I really spent a lot of time on, otherwise it would have just clicked, I would have gotten it. So I decided to bust out the pen and paper, and I literally sat there for about 20 minutes and figured out the entire sequence of how to get from point A to point B while also hitting that stupid button. It's puzzles like this that when you get to the end, you feel like you've achieved so much. I went 4 tiles deep. and it felt like I beat the game. And there are puzzles like this all over the place. Once you complete them, you feel like you've achieved so much, and you really haven't gotten that far. And then once you figure them out, a lot of times you're just like, wow, that's the easiest thing in the world. Why didn't I think of that first? Now let's go ahead and talk about combat for a second. Here I am beating on this thing. Notice that I'm showing my mouse on purpose because I want you guys to see how this works. All the commands are triggered by me right-clicking or clicking or whatever on various spells and abilities. Now, notice I killed that guy. I'm gonna go ahead and close this gate right here. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to go to sleep. When you rest, which you can rest at any point in time during the game, you can rest anywhere, you regen your health and your energy. Which to me is kind of the biggest cop-out part of this game because you almost have to do that in order to be successful in this game, especially for a first-timer. Now, the gate thing is also another kind of a quirk that I don't really like, is the fact that I can control or throttle the amounts of aggro that I take from different mobs. If the mobs get in my face and I don't feel like dealing with it, guess what? Pull the chain, drop the fence, go to sleep. Now you guys can clearly see that there is a swing timer. Every time I right click on one of my melee abilities, it's going to usually miss. And then it's gonna sit there for a second while my guy recovers. And the same thing applies for magic wielders. So I have 2 magic wielders in the back, which by the way, the position of the grid there is at your actual position on the ground. So you wanna put your heavier, beefier guys up front, and then have your lighter weight, ranged guys in the back. If you have a melee in the back and then you try to swing, he's going to miss. Something else you may have noticed is that I'm not clicking fireball, go, right? I'm actually clicking on a rune. The rune indicates what kind of spell that I'm going to cast, and then I click on cast itself. Think of it kind of like Magicka, where you have various elements that you can mix and match. That's pretty much the same thing that I'm doing here. All right, so I can hunt things down, I can cast spells, I can solve puzzles, I could even craft, right? That's something that I didn't show you guys yet. You can craft, yes. It's actually nothing to really show. You basically take a couple items and you mix them together, and then booyah, potion, that's pretty much it. You also have the ability to wear items that you find on the ground. So for example, I just picked up some pants. What is this right here? Some robes. Now right here, you just drag and drop, put it up there. +2, very, very basic stats. You're not getting in here and you have like a plus 10 shirt of protection would be amazing in this game, right? Here it's like +2, +3. The stats are very, very minimal. See the scrolls in there? Those scrolls were like various spells that I had picked up and that I have learned. They show me the actual rune configuration so I could cast them. Picking up another torch right here because torches do actually burn out. So you'll be running through the game, and if you're not carrying a torch, first of all, if you're not carrying a torch, it's gonna be pitch black around you, so you have to actually have one of your characters carry one at all times. Sometimes I'll actually have one of my characters in the back, the casters, hold it because they don't necessarily have to use that for an attack. Here, this is early in the game, where it actually is a pretty good mace. But there are weapons all over the game. You're gonna find them just everywhere. For example, see this rock right here? Pick it up, put it in my right hand, blam, now I have a weapon. It's obviously a very rudimentary weapon, but it's something that is very effective at range. It's one of the very few weapons you can use at range. You have throwing knives, shurikens. I think you can even throw, you get arrows. I haven't found a bow. I'm pretty far into the game right now, and I have like an entire inventory full of arrows, and I can do nothing with them. I think I'm supposed to throw them. I have no idea. That just sounds silly. So notice I have a key already in my character's hand, so I can go through this door, but I'm checking all the walls for like a secret button, and the button is up. And the buttons for the secret access points have so far have all been pretty much in the same spot. It's always like one tiny button. So once you see one, they're all the same. I was actually kind of disappointed that I'm pretty far off into the game. And what am I doing? I'm throwing a rock? That doesn't work. What am I even thinking? Obviously, this is very early on in my play. Oh, here we go. Loose rock, loose rock. All right, we're gonna find the loose rock, and you guys will see. Okay, right there. You see that? That is, it's so obvious, and I feel like it's in the same spot every single time. So look at every wall, look for that spot, look for that loose rock, push it, and you're gonna get into a secret. I know this is a spoiler alert for some of you guys, but this is like level 1 FFS, just chill out. Overall, I'm very, very pleased this game has been released because we have so much room for expansion and growth here. Notice just the system itself, the gameplay system, it's so easy to expand upon. They're already talking about user-generated content. We know that we're probably gonna get DLC of some sort. Who knows? Maybe they'll charge us a couple dollars for it or whatever. It might be free. I have no idea. But the game is $15 to start with. Even if you end up spending $10 more on DLC over the next couple years, like, who cares? Because they're talking about user-generated content, which means you're gonna have tons of crap to play with here very, very shortly. The only downsides that I have to the game, though, is that the combat can sometimes be gimmicky, and that you could pull on a stupid chain and have the gate close and suddenly you're safe, then fall asleep and that's it. Now, granted, you can be asleep and then have somebody wake you in the middle of the night, and that sometimes really sucks. Outside of that, user-generated content is what's gonna make this game just 10 times better than what it already is, but if it's not the game for you, then you know what? It's just not the game for you. All right, guys, so that's Legend of Grimrock right there. We could see, obviously, that some DLC could come down and expand this even further. I've not beaten the game just yet. I have spent many hours, and it's because I'm going on every stupid tile, and I'm looking for a damn button to push, even though the buttons are like in the same place every time. I'm looking for that magic button that's not in that one spot. But anyways, I try not to spoil everything for you guys, but I had to show you guys something. Again, let me know in the comments below if this is the type of game that you guys would like to see expanded upon, or even see other developers going in this direction. It is a throwback. It is a chill type dungeon crawling game, and I was playing it last night and it was lightning and thunder all up in the Bay Area and stuff like that, and it definitely had me a little bit spooked. A little embarrassed to admit that to the thousands of you who are gonna watch this, but it's cool. It's cool. Mike B has feelings too. Anyways, follow me at aka Mike B on Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys. Bye.